But doesn't the health minister have a role to play in this as well? Because, I mean, last week he's saying, yes, go out and get an AstraZeneca vaccine, but if you don't want to get it, you can get another one by the end of the year. And now he's saying, well, yes, you've got to go and get a vaccine because if you don't, you could die.
Yeah, look, I think to some degree there was a focus on a part of his interview, but that was a fact, not a recommendation. The recommendation remains that we're wide open, and if you're eligible for the vaccines, and we've got 2 really good vaccines at the moment, with a third possibly coming later in the year, go get it. And the thing, look. It's been really interesting from I look at it from a sort of a historical point of view, and really at Waterloo, the Duke of Wellington did not wait around for the Prussians in having to engage Napoleon, and essentially that's kind of how we view it at the moment. Essentially, COVID is very likely to break out in winter, and we've got to get whatever we've got into play. And ultimately, the AstraZeneca vaccine is a very good vaccine, and I've had it myself. And I'm not going to say anything more that, we have to look at it from an overall perspective, and we do need everybody in line, and that is the media, the government, and all doctors saying the same thing, which is essentially we've got to actually protect the community as soon as possible, because we are sitting ducks until that happens.
But how is it a media issue if we're reporting that some people have had side effects relating to the AstraZeneca vaccine? Isn't it incumbent on people to make their own decisions? People over the age of 50 have seen, okay, there's a blood clot problem there. I'm not going to get it.
Yeah, but I think to the same degree, there's been a focus, for example, on the delivery side of things. Let's just talk about the delivery side. I had this rushed interview. Look, could you come on down? We've got to quickly do an interview because somebody didn't get a delivery of the vaccine. Now, this is a huge undertaking. There's 5,000 places to get these vaccines on time, the right number. The cameraman didn't turn up. I mean, look, let's get a perspective on it. This is a huge undertaking, and I think focusing on the negatives themselves is actually a problem. So a perspective, and that's why last week we came out and said, look, there does need to be a communication campaign, which is really kind of outside of this. It's outside of the politics. It's outside of the media and the noise and anxiety-provoking noise. Let's get the community to understand that this is a community undertaking to protect us all. That's how I feel about it as a doctor, and from a public health point of view, that's how we should be viewing it as well.
What do you make of this proposal to have a vaccine passport to allow interstate travel if in the eventuality that there is a state shutdown, that people can still move freely if they've received their shots?
Look, there still needs to be work on that area, but that actually is the sort of thing we need to start thinking about. In fact, I think Dr. Omar Khorshid spoke to the Prime Minister about this at the very initial stage, because it makes sense, because those individuals themselves are first up lowering the risk for themselves in getting sick, but they do, and although the evidence is still emerging, there is evidence that they're going to be much less likely to first up catch it and pass it along. So by doing that, it sends a story that there is a positive story about the vaccine. It's not just about the negatives, which are tiny, and really these positives about being able to start to make changes that are positive, not only from the protection of the community, but also being able to open up the community, are really important in the next stage.
And do you think that people, I mean, getting back to AstraZeneca and the issue of blood clots, which is I guess the primary reason why people are worried about it, that they forget that you can get blood clots from many other things. In fact, it's probably more prevalent. The chances of getting blood clots from something else are even greater than from AstraZeneca, right?
Including from COVID. That's probably the big one, most likely from COVID. And if it breaks out to the Victorian situation, look, we're going to have a lot more blood clots than the number we've had so far already, which is numbering in about 1 in 100,000. It'll probably turn out to be a little bit more than that. But as you can see at the moment, we're already starting to recognise it more quickly. We can do the test quickly, and the treatments are positive. And look, they're blood clots, but the vast majority of these people have actually gone home and gone back to work now. I mean, that doesn't mean that wasn't a dangerous thing, but they've gone home and gone back to work. So they are blood clots, but there are other types of blood clots which are unrelated to COVID as well, which we don't go reporting every day. If we reported everybody that got a blood clot from an oral contraceptive pill, I don't think you'd have much of a show left to actually fill,
right,
Peter.
Doctor, always good to chat. We'll talk to you again soon.